one of the interesting things was someone said to me recently, last time I spoke to you, you didn't have this reader available, or this one, or this one. So should I wait? And I said to them, well, what do you do with your car or your computer? Do you wait? Because of course there's going to be a new model come out. You should buy equipment hoping that it will be superseded. If we're not, so that old Allflex yellow stick reader, we had that for way too long. And it was because no one was doing any of the product development. We didn't have new things coming out. So if you buy equipment and you hope that it's not going to be superseded, we're in the wrong business. You should be buying technology. It's the same as your phone. You buy a phone, it happens to me every time. Every time I buy a phone, I find out the new model was released about 3 days later. And I get a bit frustrated with it. But that's what's happening. You should expect that to happen. You buy a piece of equipment, there will be a better one at some point. Because that's just the nature of technology. Right.
Okay, that's great.
Come
Thanks
up,
very much,
guys.
David. So you'll also all have the opportunity to catch up with David one-on-one if you've got particular questions about their setup here and their journey with RFID and how they're planning to use that in the future, and be able to have a really good look at the gear they've got in the yards. Before we break for lunch, what we've asked just for a couple of minutes is we've got this lineup of people here ready to provide you with the information that you need with respect to the equipment that's available. So what we've asked of these guys is just that they come forwards before we break for lunch, and they're going to introduce themselves to you and just let you guys know who they are and which business they're representing. So when you've got time at lunchtime and then again this afternoon, you'll know exactly who you're talking to, so you can sort of pick your target pretty well.
All right, Jim, kick us off.
All right, Jim Megriff. I'm from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales, and have the job of sheet business manager with Allflex. So anybody who had one of those rascally Flexi-matics, come and see me and I'll give you a lesson in the Rapid-matic, rapid tags, green sticks, and anyone with a stud breeder will want to come and talk to you about the tissue sampling unit that we've also released in the market recently. So Jim from Allflex.
James from Monomed. So we've got a medication delivery system that's built around ergonomics for the operator and compliance and traceability in the back end. So what that effectively means is we can dose the animal quite easily and have a record of each treatment that we administer, which can then push back into the greater herd management system. So you're automatically generating all your records of your treatments. We're just down the back in the orange, so by all means come down and we can have a bit of a chat to you about how we can potentially work together on your place.
I'm Scott from TrueTest, based down at Branksholme, look after Western Victoria. So TrueTest, we do all the auto drafters, the TrueTest indicators, and also the TrueTest EID reading equipment. So yeah, if you're looking for that sort of gear, come have a chat.
Jay Taylor from Z-Tags. We've been around since '91, doing electronic ear tags, sheep, also normal management tags. Recently released an auto tagger to the market. If you're interested in that, come and see me.
Chris Inks, I'm with Practical Systems. I'm based up in Echuca. We do software, so it's probably where all this information is to come into software. So if you're in that sort of space, come and catch up.
G'day, Hamish Burr. I live up in Bendigo. I'm the local territory manager for this part of the world for Gallagher. We've got all of the weighing and EID hardware, so your indicators, your tag readers, load bars, manual crates, auto drafters, handles, all of that sort of stuff. So I'm just up on the board there. Anyone who's interested in having a bit of a chat about how we can apply what you're looking to do to one of our systems, come and have a talk with me.
Peter Cantwell from Shearwell. I'm Bendigo based as well. We're ear tags and readers, panel readers, race readers, dual race readers, and a whole range of other gear. Shearwell have invested fairly heavily in Bendigo in the last couple of years, and we've got the capability in Bendigo to print about 15 million tags a year. So with the pressure coming on with supply, we don't believe that we're going to be compromised there. So we're guaranteeing supply or delivery within that 10 days, definitely. We can dispatch urgent deliveries the next day. And we've got some really good pricing on our tags, where we can supply the cost neutral tags at 34 cents, and deal we've got going, and if you order 5,000 tags or part thereof, we can do you a deal on a free stick reader. Come and see me at the back.
Thanks. My name's Robert Wild. I'm with Sapient Technology. We're based in Melbourne. We provide software. Software's, as Chris said, is where all the information ends up. And it's probably where you should start thinking about how you get benefit out of using all of the equipment that these guys are offering. So it's all about making a better decision about the animals that you have, not just using what you see, the visual stuff. It's about supplementing that with some information so you make a better decision, so you can find those better performers in your flock and keep them and get rid of the other ones. So our software is designed to take all that information and present it to you in a form where you can see it and react to it and make better decisions. So come and talk to us over at the stand.
Bill Stonnell, I'm based in Hamilton, Clipex. We have a sheep handling machine that could be of interest to people if you're looking for a multi-purpose, multi-use machine. You know, once you work out what you need to, what data you're trying to collect and that type of thing, if you're interested in getting into a multi-purpose machine, come have a talk to me. I've got literature here on it, and yeah, so come talk to me later on if you're interested, please. Thank you.
I'm going to add one more in the mix too. Jack Briscoe. Only because I know Jack's here, so if there's anyone else I've missed in the room that's a contractor doing this stuff, yell out. But Jack, do you want to just give a quick?
Yeah, I'm based in Geelong, travel everywhere. I've got all the equipment, so I do drive hire as well as come and do it. So I've got autographs, police weighing, printers, land weighing box I'm working on at the moment for cradle, so you get your first weight at landmarking time. We're working on that as an air operated one at the moment as well. So if you've got any ideas or you want to know a little bit more or you want to try stuff, then I'm here to help.
So they're not unicorns, they do exist. Thanks, Jack.
That's one. Out of three of these, we've found one.
No, there is more. Righto, thank you guys. So what we will do is I urge you to take the time to go and talk to these guys. They've given up their time to be in one place. The only next time you will find this many people in one place, this many of the EID sector in one place, is likely to be probably sheep vention. So this is a good chance for us, when everyone's in one place, for you to have a chat to them, not necessarily to go and buy everything, but just to at least to open the conversation and get a better handle of some of that stuff.
So we'll break for lunch, finally, exciting. We'll come back at 1:15, so we'll get going at 1:15 sharp so that we can, round up the day at a reasonable time.
To finish the day off, we're going to come back to that point that we asked earlier about what's exciting and what would we tell a 14, 15-year-old kid if we sat them down here in the front, what would we tell them? I want to show you some of the stuff that actually, it really does excite me and what we have got happening in our industry, despite all the stuff we've already talked about. When we start finding those passengers and kicking them out, finding those best performers, that is pretty exciting. But there's some other stuff that's happening beyond the farm gate as well. Just as a quick bit of housekeeping, because I forgot to mention it earlier and so did Chris, but we are filming today. So if anyone has an issue with being filmed, please see Chris and let him know. They can sort that out, but just if we need to make you aware of that. All right, so what's exciting? What's happening off farm? If we look at our current feedback mechanisms in the lamb industry, how good are the market signals that you get? Does the price and the market signals that you get reflect whether you're producing the right product or not? No. At the moment, they're basically telling you produce the biggest, fattest thing that you can produce, and they'll pay you for it. But is that a good thing for our industry? We've got record prices at the moment. Is it good for our industry? How many of you, just quick show of hands, how many of you think the current prices are really good for our industry? One hand. It's interesting. I only ask it because it's going to vary between all of you. Personally, I don't think it is a good thing for our industry because I think it's unsustainable. And one of our risks is if we're selling something as a luxury product, which we are, we're pricing it as a luxury product, and we're producing it as a commodity. So what are we actually, can we walk the walk? We're talking the talk, can we walk the walk? If we're going down that path, we need to be able to back it up. If we're going to sell something as a luxury product, because you do not need to eat lamb. The world does not have to eat lamb. The world chooses to eat lamb. And if we want them to keep choosing to eat lamb, we've got to do some of the work to make sure that continues to happen. Some of that is what we talked about earlier, the traceability and all of those things. But some of it is just purely on quality of product and whether people have a good eating experience or not. We know when someone has a bad eating experience, it takes them a considerable amount of time to come back and try it again. We have to be aware of that. So some of the things that are happening beyond the farm gate. We've got hook tracking systems going into plants around Victoria. Now a hook tracking system means when a lamb comes onto the chain, the first thing that normally happens is we lose traceability because the head comes off. So if we lose traceability, then that's it. That's where the story ends. But if we put in a hook tracking system and with electronic tags, this electronic tag gets matched to that hook. So I've got one here. This is what they look like. A version of this. Inside that little white bit, it has a microchip in it, a transponder, the same as what's in the electronic tag, same sort of style. And basically what that does is everywhere that carcass goes on that chain, we know which lamb it was. We know where it came from. When it goes over the scales, we know which lamb it was, where it came from. Oops. So we have that ability to be able to start to actually get some information back on that carcass. Tell you something about what you produced. So the new systems. You're going to provide individual feedback on animals. We'll get hot standard carcass weight. At the moment, you produce all of your lambs, you get them all above 45 kilos live weight. You send them over the hooks, and one of them comes back at a 14 kilo carcass. And you stand there scratching your head and you're frustrated, and the immediate assumption often is, well, it can't have been one of mine. All of mine were the right weight. Can't have been, must have been someone else that's jumped in. The reality is, you actually, again, we don't know. If no one tells us, we don't know what happened to that lamb. We've spent a lot of time on kill floors as part of projects we've been involved in these last couple of years, and you see what's happening. You see a lamb come along and he's got arthritis in a joint, so they take it off at the shoulder. Or it's got pleurisy, so the rib cage comes out. Or one of the cases that I heard of recently was grass seed. The grass seed was so bad they took 3 kilos off that carcass, trying to trim the grass seed off. So unless someone actually tells us that, we don't actually know whether we're producing the right product or what were some of the things that might have been wrong and what required trimming. So getting a hot standing carcass weight helps, and then the retaining and the trimming information becomes really important to us. Why did they trim that carcass? What was it that they had to actually take off? Grass seed, dog bites, or other health information that they can give us. The next step, and this is something that we know a couple of the processors are looking at, is dressing percentage. Now, if you weigh lambs on farm, you run them straight out of the paddock, you weigh them on farm, so they're full, and then you send those lambs off to a particular processor. And then you work out your dressing percentage, it comes back, they're only dressed at 43%. And you're really frustrated. Like, geez, that processor must be ripping us off, they're cutting too much off. The next time you weigh your lambs, you run them in the morning, you get sidetracked because we've got to go and fix that thing. It's 5 or 6 hours before you come back and weigh those lambs. You send them to a different processor. In that time, the lambs have emptied out. You're getting a good true weight. All of a sudden, your dressing percentage now looks like it's 46, 47%. You give yourself a pat on the back because you think, yep, I found that processor whose dressing percentages are much better. And actually, there's no difference at all. All it is one of your weights was crap, and the data was rubbish, and the other weight was a good, accurate weight because it was an empty weight. So one of the things that they're looking at, some of the processors, is this idea of being able to get a live weight before the carcass actually comes onto the chain. So just as it hits the chain, they get a live weight, they get the carcass weight, they give you a dressing percentage. A very accurate dressing percentage. So that's one of the things. The other one that you will have seen information about recently is DEXA, or dual X-ray. That's the big investment that MLA announced recently. It is a massive thing for our industry. And I think it's probably the most exciting announcement I've seen in my time in the industry, because it will change the way we do business in the sheep industry, the way that our lamb is sold and the way that we get feedback on the production. Just to show you on this dressing percentage one though, these are some graphs from some carcass data where we've tracked the individual carcasses. So if you have a look across the bottom, we've got live weight, up the side, we've got carcass weight. If you look at this one up here, there is no relationship between live weight and carcass weight. And it's basically because their live weights on farm just weren't accurate, because they were weighing them full each time. So if you think about a lamb that's got up, walked over, these were feedlot, some of these were feedlot lambs, got up, walked over, might have eaten 3/4 of a kilo of grain, gone and had a drink, had 3 litres of water put on board. All of a sudden we've got close to 4 extra kilos on that one, compared to the other one who hadn't woken up from under the tree yet and come straight in basically empty over the scales. We get this variation, we get noise. So the message in this is, if we get good accurate weights, sometimes we can get good relationships and good useful data. But if your data is no good, bad data is worse than no data. Make sure you have some processes in place that are actually going to ensure that your data quality is good. Particularly if we start trying to make decisions on things like processes and their dressing percentage. Because we keep hearing, I hear it all the time from people, that processor, their dressing percentage isn't good. And yet the quality of their data to make that assessment is nowhere near good enough for that producer. So make sure you've got some good data to back up any decisions you're making. So where is this all heading? What it means with the hook tracking systems coming in, and with you now going to have every lamb with an electronic tagging area, we have the potential for being able to link it right back through your system. So from your initial genetic decision, right through to the kill chain, and informing those decisions again. When we talk about electronic tags will not make you a cent. Decisions make you money, not electronic tags. The whole aim of collecting data throughout your supply chain is to be able to inform those decisions. So DEXA, what it is, how it works, this is it. So this is a video from Scott's Technology. And this shows you the carcasses going through the X-ray machine. So as it goes through the X-ray, it produces an image like this. You'll see all the ribs mapped out. Interesting things happen when we start to look at individuals again. Some sheep have more ribs than others. Until you start actually looking at that, we don't necessarily know about it. So that, you'll see these lines across the top here. They show you where the robotic saws are going to go through to break that carcass down. So that's what gives the processor a whole lot of potential for automation, to be able to bring robots into the system. Why we're interested in it though, as a producer, is we can predict lean meat yield. So for those of you that remember Viascan, the old Castricum days, anyone remember selling through that? Lean meat yield, it was about 50% of the accuracy of a CAT scan. Now CAT scan is the gold standard, it's the top of the range because of its accuracy. The DEXA measurement is about 90% of the accuracy of a CAT scan. So it means that you will be able to be paid on producing a lamb that has a higher lean meat yield to it. There's a risk with that, because that's what the pork industry did. They went really hard after lean meat yield. And if we go really hard after lean meat yield, we'll end up with pork. And that's not necessarily what we want to do either. So we've got to keep quality in mind. And when it comes to quality, this slide is provided by Alex Ball from MLA. MLA and the Sheep CRC are working on objective carcass measurements for meat eating quality traits. So from a meat eating quality trait point of view, the couple of things that we're really interested in, intramuscular fat and shear force. The two of those come together to actually create what the consumer sees as juiciness and tenderness. And it's really important. When I talked earlier about whether we're producing a luxury product or whether we're producing a commodity, this is what we need to be focused on as an industry. We've got to make sure that we've got some control over that quality that's coming through. So the two different things here, hyperspectral camera. So you'll see up here, the specs through there are the intramuscular fat, and they're able to measure fat as well. So actual fat depth. At the moment, that fat measurement you get, someone standing there doing this on each carcass as it walks past. And it depends on how hungover they are from the night before as to how good they are at it or what mood they're in that day. It's not an objective measurement. That's why they don't penalise you for fat. They don't penalise you for fat at the moment because they can't back it up. So without going to at least a GR knife or to this sort of thing of using the DEXA to be able to measure fat depth, and then for this to be able to measure intramuscular fat, we start to put the whole puzzle together. We don't want too much external fat, but we do want intramuscular fat from a meat eating quality point of view. The other one is an impedance spectroscopy probe. Hopefully it doesn't get up because I don't like having to say it, but it's another piece of equipment that they're working on. The idea is to be able to measure carcass quality, meat eating quality, at chain speed. And at chain speed means that we start getting into a position like MSA for beef, where carcasses can be graded on how they are going to eat. So before it gets to the consumer, we already can predict whether that's a really good meat eating quality sort of product or whether it's not. And that's where we need to get to. In terms of the processes though, this next one shows you why they're interested in the DEXA technology. So DEXA has already gone into a number of plants. ALC at Colac, JBS at Bordertown, there's more going into JBS at Brooklyn as well. So you'll see here, depending on where the most efficient place to cut that carcass is where the saws come through. So for that carcass, straight through is the most efficient cut. On the next one, on the angle is the most efficient cut. All determined by that original X-ray for that individual carcass. If we take it a step further, you'll see here, once the forequarter is removed from the carcass, the robots do the rest. So this forequarter, they take another image and you'll see little squares come up on the image here. These little squares show you where the saw will go through, and that robot will now use that bandsaw to break that forequarter down. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now the beauty of robots is that they do run 24 hours a day and they don't have girlfriend problems or hangovers or any of those sorts of things. So they are relatively easy, and anyone who's just seen the news in the last couple of days about 457 visas will have seen that there's a challenge for some processes because some of them do use a lot of those people. And you read the article yesterday, it's because they can't get Australian workers to do those jobs. It's not that they're here to replace Australian workers won't do it. So you look at what the biggest cost to a processor is, their biggest cost is in labour. So some of this is about trying to reduce their labour or to change their labour structure. Obviously we still need technicians to manage these robots, keep them working, keep them going. JBS at Brooklyn, when they actually put the robotics in, it allowed them to run an extra shift. So the day that they put the robotics in and turned them on, they actually took on another shift and another 200 jobs were created. So obviously that relies heavily though on lamb supply. There's not enough lambs, the extra shift doesn't happen. So that's what this technology can do for the processor. If you really want to see what's possible though, this next one we're not going to see in many boning rooms, but it just shows you what's possible being driven by the DEXA image. Robot is about to bone out that